What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is episode 57. This is the July 2021 edition, and we are sitting down with TCC President Robb Roach and Latin American Operations Manager Javier Fernandez. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning, Benny.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
All right.
Excited. I just did my first business trip after February of 2020. I was so excited to be at the airport, at the plane, at the hotel. Loved it. Loved every minute of it.
First class lounges. Don't forget about the lounges.
Yeah, I did. I got upgraded on all my flights, so that was nice.
We need a sponsorship from American Airlines on the podcast.
Yes, this podcast is brought to you by American Airlines.
Back in your happy place.
Back in my happy place. But yeah, very excited. Yeah.
Late July, almost coming into August here.
Yeah.
Peak summertime. I know you're out on the boat catching a little bit of fish, which is exciting.
Yeah. Been out a few times on tuna trips. Done pretty well so
Good
far
couple
this
weeks.
year. Yeah.
Very nice.
Got to take some time, you know.
Of course.
You got to take time. This is the middle of summer, and if you're not taking your time now, then you better hurry up and get out there.
Yep. Perks of living where we do. It's, for some people that's a vacation. For you, it's just a Tuesday evening. Get to go out on the boat a little bit. So it's nice.
I mean, it's stressful. Everything's stressful right now in our industry, and it's important to take a break.
Absolutely.
So I'm rationalizing my time off.
And it's very difficult because you have so many factors. You have the wind. You have so many factors for that to match.
Oh, to go fishing. Yeah, we look at temperature charts of the Gulf Stream. The weather is huge because you're running 130 miles on a boat that only goes 18 knots. So your 6-7 hour steam, if it's rough, it can turn into a 12-15 hour steam. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that have to line up. But when it does line up, we go, and we've been doing pretty good. This has been a good year for tuna and fishing in general. You can see the conservation efforts that have taken place in at least the United States oceans are doing well. So there's plenty of fish out there.
But going back to something you had just mentioned with the craziness that is the chemical industry, it seems these days it's been quite the last couple weeks, and I think teeing up to be quite the third quarter here. Things remain quite tight. Logistics remains quite difficult. Seems like pricing's flat to maybe still on the rise. So it's been a crazy few weeks and few months here.
Yeah, I think we've been saying it our last couple podcasts. Just don't let your guard down. Nothing's getting better. I love when somebody calls me up and says, "Oh, it seems like things are getting." No, things aren't getting better because things are still bad, and there's still new factors coming in. So the latest is torrential rain and flooding, multiple thousands of years flooding in Germany. Southwest of Germany got hit the hardest, and actually it's impacting the refineries over there and some downstream stuff. I mean, there is no time to let your guard down. Supply chains are broken still. Nobody's doing anything about it. We write our senators, we write our congressmen, we do our podcasts. Nobody's fixing the problem. We're importing more and more from China, despite the tariffs, despite everything. We need them, by the way, because we don't have enough everywhere else in the world. We depended on them for 20 years for chemical production capacity, and we have all these old plants that are breaking and getting affected and impacted by weather. The world is changing. So I hope it's loud and clear. Don't let your guard down. Keep your supply chains full and work with companies like us to help you with that, because we all need help nowadays. So, and logistics is just part of it too. I mean, getting the product is part of it, but then getting it to us or to our customers. Woo.
And I just heard for the conference, I was talking, logistics was one of the main issues that we were talking about, like how difficult it is to get stuff from point A, point B, the merges and all that stuff. But they say that Amazon has contracted 80% of the shipping lines for 2022. So actually, and they just put a stupid amount of money just to contract that 80% of. So everybody else is fighting for that
last 20%.
Oh. So they set the bar so high, so the price is not coming down until 2023, unless Amazon does something. So I mean, and my wife is a part of the problem because she gets boxes every day.
We all are.
She's like, olive oil. I'm like, yeah, subscribe and save. I'm like, no. Yeah, I think we're all part of the problem, but yeah. So yeah, Amazon they contract 80% of the volume, the logistics volume that comes to the U.S.
Yeah, never mind the fact that we're handling chemistry. It's not olive oil.
Yeah.
It's not spices. It's not, toys or whatever. So if you can haul something that's non-toxic, non-hazardous, non-chemical, you're going to haul it. You know what I mean? So we're the bottom of the barrel. I mean, petroleum products,
Correct.
petrochemicals, we're the bottom of the barrel. Nobody wants to touch us because they have liability that goes along with it. So
and the last word is still like Captain has the last word of what goes in their ship.
right.
So they can say, I don't want to have chemicals on my ship.
Yeah.
I'd rather put some chips or semiconductors, and that's easy to pass along. I have 1 million units, but in a container you have 20 tons or 18 tons of dry product. That's all. That's all. If you have fertilizer, you have chemis, you have whatever, it's only 18 tons. You can only spread it out 18 times. That's it.
And we're in distribution.
Yeah.
We don't have anything here, and we have a two full-time EH&S and regulation people, regulatory people.
Yeah.
So if the option is to just not haul it and not have to deal with, over far-reaching regulations and rules that people who are enforcing them don't even understand. I mean, there's so many layers upon layers upon layers of regulation now. So we're very lucky to have partners like the Logistix company and the truckers that we have, the ISO, the demurrage, the people that we have. We're very lucky to have them. We appreciate them. And we need to honor them and give them as much business as possible. And hopefully they can come through for us. But again, back to the original point, things are broken. Don't let your guard down. And we're here to help if we can. We're so far so good. We're doing a good job. Everybody's working hard, but the stress is high.
Yeah, it's really just getting the info across. I think us trying to do things like this podcast and our email newsletters, just letting people know, hey, expect delays, expect things to be long. I think, stuff's getting worse and worse. There's a lot of companies that maybe historically have not been importing material. They've relied on domestic sources and now are relying on these imports and maybe aren't familiar with the lead times that can come across and delays and things like that. So it's really just understand what's happening and expect delays and be as flexible as you can.
One customer that we had a meeting in the fertilizer conference says like, we're talking about the bad news, that we have to right now have to deliver the bad news, and it's like, yeah, bad news doesn't get better with age,
No.
It's not like vino,
I wish it did.
I was like, can we steal that? He's like, yeah, I'll steal it. Welcome to use it.
Trademark that.
Trademark that. It doesn't get better with age. You gotta deliver it. I mean, it doesn't matter. So the customers or suppliers can figure out plan B, plan C, plan D. They can do if you can know your ISO's stock. You can buy totes. You can buy drums. You can interchangeable. You can use other products in the meantime. I don't know.
You have to be flexible.
You have to be flexible.
Yeah.
I think we've done a good job of that. Hey, sorry, your ISO's stuck in the port. We're doing everything we can, but in the meantime, we got this load of totes here. Do you want that to hold you over? And
Right.
Something unique to TCC that we're able to be flexible with for
Absolutely.
stuff like
Absolutely.
that. So logistics continues to be difficult. Seems like pricing is still pretty high. Crude oil continues to tick up. We're seeing a lot of pricing, I think, still moving up just because of the supply and demand fundamentals, but still expecting things to be higher priced for at least coming into August.
Yeah, I mean, talking to our producing partners, they're having a hard time getting raw materials, catalyst, energy. Raw materials are difficult for our customers, but also if you go upstream and it's impacting our producing partners severely. So most plants are running at reduced capacities because they can't get enough of what they need, or you see it on a local level. You go to Home Depot or Tractor Supply. You want to get pair of Carhartt pants are not available. It's on every level, so you have to expect it to be on every level above us and beyond, all the way back. So yeah, oil continues to trend up. I mean, when you're seeing things like benzene continue to trend up. I mean, it is. Logistics is impacting it at every level, and also supply is impacting it at every level.
Another thing that we talked about is that plant turnarounds haven't been completed as they throughout like the way they used to, because engineers usually come from other countries because they run on German parts or Japanese parts or you name it, and they usually come from other countries to service them once a year. So now they have to get away with local engineers or their counterparts or third services because of COVID.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about COVID impacts. I mean, it's July here, and we're still wearing masks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not.
Yeah, so they said that plant turnarounds, be careful because the engineer that has been coming for the last 7 years. He hasn't come the last two years. The team of engineers that come and service that plant, they haven't come because of quarantining, you name it. They haven't come.
Yeah.
And probably they won't come next year either. So they have to rely on an engineering team, a local engineering team that third-party service.
Less experience.
You know, rather than the manufacturer itself.
Wow.
So a lot of things, a lot of moving parts.
Which is another part of logistics. You can't get the engineers over here because, you know, certain countries can't fly or can't, you know, they're having much more severe. I mean, Peru is having severe COVID impacts right now.
Yeah.
India still. I mean, you know, the vaccine hasn't really got out there to many parts of the world like it has here. And then, of course, you've got this fight, you know, the people that are saying, I don't want to get a vaccine. And, you know, we talked earlier about, you know, polio and people that had scars to eliminate polio because they, you know, not only did they get the vaccine, but they got a scar they carried for the rest of their life.
Yep.
And there, people are fighting this. It's not going to go away unless we sort of all get on board. And now this is becoming a social, you know, fight, you know, and we're seeing at concerts. Like there's the Folk Fest going on in Newport this week. My wife bought tickets. They wanted proof of her vaccination. So, you know, it's not just becoming a social sort of disagreement. It's becoming something that you need in order to go certain places, and it's another thing to get us all stressed out about.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. And the plant thing is interesting between bringing engineers over with COVID or whatnot. A lot of these plants, I know there's articles all the time about how old some of these plants already are. They rely on these turnarounds. They rely on this regular maintenance, and it could be big issues down the road if
Big issues.
And July is a popular month for turnarounds in the United States. It's a very popular month for turnarounds because of 4th of July, summer, big driving month, big vacation month. And so we'll see what the future entails.
And on top of all this stuff, now we've got wildfires, we've got hurricane season coming up, we've got these acts of God that could potentially play another role, whether it's hurricanes damaging plants or the wildfires preventing trucking and things like that. It's coming at you from all angles. Floods.
I know. It really seems apocalyptic. I mean, really, pandemic. I mean, look outside. We might be being attacked by locusts right now. I don't know. But all of this is, biblical, in terms of, maybe it's all the news that we're getting. I don't know. But it's certainly having a lot of impact as we're seeing on every level of supply chains. And there's more to come.
It's just amazing how many different levels of things are affecting, it's this all these different things playing into it and to put this picture together. It's not. It
seems
just
like
one
every time we do a
thing.
podcast, there's more piled
I know.
on top. At least we got a lot to talk about, Ben.
Maybe we gotta stop doing Maybe we're the common denominator. We stop talking about it, it'll all go away. No,
I hope not.
No, we're gonna keep doing the podcasts. Trade and tariff. I know we talked about China a little bit. Obviously, still a lot of imports, exports happening, whether it's the regular stuff coming in or bringing in additional material due to some of the domestic manufacturing issues. As a quick side, we're going to do a 4-part mini-series with a company that specializes in this import-export and more of the laws and legal side of it. So that should start coming out late August. We're looking forward to putting that together.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting.
But obviously, trade and the tariffs continue to play a big role in the day-to-day.
What is it, the laws of it or the process?
Yep. So it's a 4-part series. There's going to be an import episode, an export episode, a anti-dumping episode, and then a trade and policy episode. So what the U.S. government is doing or saying. So really just kind of like we're calling it like import 101 and export 101. What's happening? What do you need to be aware of as you're importing and exporting? What does the government look for? Whether it's making sure things are filed correctly or things that are blatantly illegal and stuff like that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Kind of basic, but at the same time, I think a lot of good info, especially as there's more and more companies that maybe are importing or exporting that historically haven't been.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of anti-dumping lawsuits going on in our industry and other countries. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen how we've had to pivot, since the pandemic. Really, I mean, we've been, Javi and I have traveled all around the world, more Javi than myself, and we made a lot of connections. But really, those connections didn't make sense until really the last year and a half, and we've had to pivot. And also, one of the other things has always been sort of mine and Javi's shared dream is to sell more American products to Latin America. I mean, Latin America has always been opportunistic. They're very price driven, and they know how to import because they don't have local supply. So we're doing more and more product from the U.S. to Latin America, which is great. We, again, something that we weren't exporting a lot. We export quite a bit to Europe, a little bit prior to Latin America, but now it's like a steady stream of products because of shorter supply chain, good pricing, fair pricing, even better pricing than they can get elsewhere, and availability. I mean, so pivoting in the company, being nimble, has been a great asset during the last year and a half that things have been so wild.
Yeah. And that's a good pivot into our Latin American update from Javi. How's things looking south of the border?
Man, it's going very well. I miss, after my first business trip, I really miss it. I miss my people. And a lot of these people are your friends, I mean, you do business and, business is fun, but like after dealing with them, it's so, you get personal, you get in touch, they become your friends, they hit me up on WhatsApp. I exchange pictures for my baby and the birthday party that we just had.
Yep.
He's like, how was it? Like, we follow each other on Instagram. We're buddies,
Yeah.
And it's a shame I cannot go see them because, again, vaccination is so far behind in Latin America. But thankfully, we have people in Brazil, we have people in Venezuela, we have people in Colombia, we have people in Mexico that can still go see them. But I miss them. I miss them. I miss them a lot.
Well, the chemical industry is such a personable, trade show and conference-driven industry, coupled with the fact that, often Latin American people are very personable and want to spend time face-to-face, and you just get so much more done. I mean, it's so much more efficient, and it's nice to get out and see everybody.
Yeah, we do business a little different way, but we get it done sometimes.
So COVID's obviously continuing to play a much bigger role there than maybe in the States.
The freight rates are increasing, not increasing as much as other areas of the world. I've been talking about the freight rates. The availability has been decreased a lot. Some lanes have decreased the availability of, so that has driven the price up, but it's not like 20,000 for a container of dries. It went up from 3 to 6. 2x, but nothing crazy like Asia, India, Southeast Asia, nothing that bad.
Yeah.
But
kind of a unique opportunity in that
unique
sense.
opportunity, and as Rob mentioned, the transit time from the U.S. is just 4 days, 7 days, 15 days. So the farthest you can go is 18 days. Yeah. It's just great, And then from the cluster of the chemical industry cluster is in the Gulf. Yeah. So out of Houston, out of NOLA, you're there.
So unique opportunity for you to sell into Latin America, obviously bringing material up as well.
Yeah. There are also some. We're working with some ISO companies and some container companies. Do you have any stuff to bring back? I was like, so we're connected to those with companies over there. Yep. So we take advantage of the freight back. Yep. So to some ports. So we're connecting people. So it's been good. It's been a good run.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot about China supply and Europe supply, but obviously Latin American supply currently with the short lead times is good opportunity.
We're importing from Chile, from Bolivia, from Colombia, from Brazil, from Argentina. Yep. From Mexico, so I mean we're there. Yeah. You name it, we're there.
It was really an impactful, discussion prior to this, and how you explained how we were talking about, the anti-vaxxers here in the U.S. and in Europe, the right wing in Europe and the anti-vax, and you were saying how you literally have friends and family that are dying for it, and and they're not getting it, and they're at risk, and it's amazing how
something we can't take for granted.
Something we take for granted is, we go to CVS and we can get a shot. And
my sister called me excited. She's like, Javi, I just got the Pfizer. I'm like, okay. I just got and it wasn't easy. She's like, I had to do some calls, and it wasn't easy. And it was a 3 to 5 hour wait. I'm like, wow, well, like that's and it's something we do take for granted here in this country. In this country, yes.
And if we don't all get on board with it, it's not going to go away. Yeah. So it's Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
Yeah, so my sister is excited. She got her first dose. So what is it, 3 weeks or 2 weeks?
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3
is
weeks,
second,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
So this is typically where we'd move into price updates and trends. We have a special little feature from the Logistix company. We have Joe Hassenfratz from TLC coming up here to give a little freight update. So we'll give it over to Joe for an update on the logistics industry. Hey Joe, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Nice to have you on the episode or on the podcast finally here.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Of course, you got the TLC gear going on. I like it.
Proper branding.
I like
always,
it.
always.
Yeah. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, it's great to have you on. Joe Hassenfratz from the Logistix company. Obviously a good partner for TCC and proud to work with you guys and do a lot of different stuff with you guys. I figured just jump right into it since it's the first time we've had you on the episode. You know, maybe if you want to just give a brief intro on TLC as a company as well as yourself and your background.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for having us. As a representative for TLC, it's great to be here and all the support the TCC provides to TLC as their freight forwarder. As TLC, the 3PL that we are, very diverse company, focusing in on liquid bulk, dry bulk, LTL, import, export, a very diverse freight forwarder that we are. So me personally, started with the company just about a year and a half ago. So certainly an interesting time to be jumping into things in the freight industry, just given
You don't say.
all the challenges that 2020 kind of threw our way. So TLC as a company is very nimble in being able to traverse all of the challenges that 2020 threw our way, and as a result, we're actually in a great position right now to continue to grow, and we're thriving in this current marketplace right now. So coming on to TLC, I came from a sales and customer service background, so transitioned as the sales and marketing manager quite nicely, to be honest with you. And they brought me on to grow the business even more. So 2020, like we said, definitely threw us a big curveball. But TLC, having such a diverse portfolio of different avenues that we work within, really provided an excellent opportunity for us to take the next step as a company. So.
Yeah, and I know there's the four things you guys kind of focus on, whether that's truck freight, LTL freight. You know, you guys do a bunch of rail stuff as well as managing imports and exports.
Absolutely.
Be good to obviously have you on episodes somewhat frequently, whether it's monthly or every other month or whatnot. But
Be glad
I think
to.
just looking at a list of kind of the core four things you guys are focusing on, I think the most timely or difficult thing these days has been the import, export, dealing with the ports.
Absolutely.
So what's going on there? What's the 2 cents if you've maybe not been paying attention for the last couple months?
Yeah, I mean, if
what's
that
the
isn't
situation?
if that isn't at the forefront of your mind, if you're moving anything internationally, the ports have been challenging, to put it lightly.
And I think one thing to maybe add to that too, as you're talking about what's happening, is there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of supply chain issues in the U.S. So there's a lot of companies, especially that TCC is dealing with, that historically have not done much import export.
Sure.
So there's some companies that are good at it, understand it. There's other companies that buy significant volumes, typically from domestic sources, and now they're relying on import export.
Correct.
And maybe they're not familiar with it. So
Yeah.
we've got a couple different kinds of companies too.
And it's a trickle down effect. If you're not directly importing or exporting, you're probably at some part of the supply chain being affected by it. So anything coming out of China right now is extremely difficult to get your hands on any product in a timely fashion, or what we were used to pre-2020. Compound that with, if you do happen to get it on a vessel headed out of China, Port of LA is backed up like you wouldn't believe. Lead times are the most critical, and when we're talking about anything to do with the ports, communication is key. So whether you're downstream and your customer's expecting this product, we're trying to give them as much heads up that a normal 1 to 2 weeks, what used to be, is now 3 to 4 weeks potentially. Yeah. And it's definitely challenging trying to find some drayage companies to get it out of port in a timely fashion, even when it does finally land and get cleared. So on the East Coast, again, it's just a matter of what port you're actually looking to get it into. We have some great carriers, personally at TLC, that can get out of port New York, New Jersey very quickly. Savannah, we found a ton of success within. Houston, obviously, is another key port for us, just with all the manufacturers and users that are down there.
Yeah, and I think historically, obviously, import-export is a relatively large part of TCC's business. And historically, the issues have just been getting material on the boat and then getting it to the States. Now it's, okay, the material's at the States, and it's taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks just to get out of the port. That's a brand new thing here in the last couple months.
Yeah.
It's been quite challenging.
Yeah, I wish we had better news that the outlook would be better, but from every carrier we've been talking to, that does not seem to be the case in the very near future. But like anything, it just takes time. They'll clear the ports out as demand kind of wanes a little bit, and more and more manufacturers finally get their hands on everything. We're hoping that this will, knock on wood, clear up within the next 5 to 6 months. But just in time for the big Christmas haul. So we'll see.
And as you're talking to customers who are dealing with import-export, what is the feedback? What is the advice? Is it just expect delays, flexibility?
Yeah, so, and we wish we had better news, but it's typically just, what used to be, again, 1 to 2 weeks is now 3, 4, 5+ weeks. So when we discuss ports, it's always best to try and get the port closest to your end destination, just knowing full well that there will have to be a little bit of a lag in the time that end customer is going to be getting that product. But it's a lot easier for us to find carriers who can do a one-day point than it used to be anything over, 200, 300 miles. Now that we're seeing some difficulty in securing carriers for any of those what are now considered longer hauls when it comes to the drayage companies.
Yeah. And one of the other things, obviously, moving inland, that's a major focus for you guys is bulk trucks, whether it's dry vans or liquid bulk. I think liquid bulk's probably, I guess, one of your biggest product lines, right?
Absolutely. That's kind of the pillar that we started the company on was liquid bulk. And we've since expanded to a lot more dry bulk, but liquid bulk, we have quite a carrier portfolio there.
And so moving inland with domestic customers and moving freight around inland, what has trucking been like? What is the inland freight looking like these days, both for the liquid front and the dry front?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging still, but we're starting to see a lot of success. Dry, especially, where we're finding a ton of success moving any product that needs to move there. We also move intermodally with the rail and along those lines, and we've actually seen half the time that anybody moving with a tank truck or a dry bulk truck is just as competitive as it used to be. That moving anything via rail was far and away, the cheaper or more competitive option, and at this point, that's almost no longer the case in many options. So. Having that deep carrier portfolio that we do have has certainly given us an advantageous leg up on moving all of those products for sure.
So have you been pointing people to be doing more rail, less rail, looking at intermodal? Is it what
I mean, we'll certainly price it out and look and see what is the best option in any scenario, especially if it's longer than a one-day point. But right now, anything coming from West Coast to East Coast, especially out of California, that's almost certainly not the case anymore.
Yep.
Dry vans or liquid bulk is almost always just as competitive, if not more competitive than what rail provides us.
Yeah, and probably one of the biggest assets to working with a company like TLC or any 3PL that has these connections with all these different forms of freight. Rather than just having to look at trucks, if you can look at, have connections like you guys do with rail, with all these different options, it's a great asset.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last big thing I know we could do with you guys is the LTL piece, small orders. As much as we love to move tank trucks and rail cars, there's always the 2, 4, 6, 8 pallet orders.
Absolutely.
What's going on with LTL freight?
LTL is, I think, even pre-COVID, one of the bigger headaches in trying to get something moved in a very competitive fashion. But we do have awesome connections within LTL carriers. So moving anything, whether it's East Coast to West Coast or vice versa, we have some really great connections to get all of our products moving in the time frame that they initially had requested, and kind of get some answers for our customers as to what's going on and tracking and all of those. So it's again another challenging aspect of the business that we work within, but we got some really great partners that help make that much easier for us.
Do you think you're seeing more delays with LTL, less delays compared to like full truckloads and bulk?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's just the trickle down effect of everything, and there's just a massive demand across the board for everything to be moving right now. So there's a backlog across the entire freight industry in trying to get your product.
Yeah. So I guess amongst those whole formats of freight. If you had like a 10-second elevator pitch for a customer on what your 2 cents is for, today's the end of July, so looking at July, August, September. I mean, what is the short pitch to customers on what to be expecting with freight these days?
Yeah, so I think it's got to be open communication, realistic expectations as far as what your product is going to land and eventually get to your end user. The longer that you can give us as far as the lead time, the better off and the more successful we'll be in helping you to get that to your end user. And then again, like I said, just open communication going both ways. There's delays across the board in every single avenue, and sometimes we don't like to deliver bad news, but you have to deliver bad news sometimes. And I think TLC does a great job of working with our carriers to make sure that we minimize those opportunities if there is bad news that has to be delivered.
Yeah. And obviously the world's opening up. We got some travel here planned for the fall, I understand.
Absolutely.
What's coming up for the next couple months here?
So TLC will be exhibiting at the ChemEd show down in San Antonio in a few weeks here. We got a couple more shows in September that will be down in Charleston for the fertilizer conference. We'll be going down to, there's a rail show that will be down in Portland, Maine at the end of September. And then there's another big trucking opportunity. It's the Mid-American Truck Show that we'll be attending as well in September. So
Nice.
TLC will be out in full force in these next couple of months and looking to grow not only our customer base, but as our partner portfolio as far as the carriers go as well.
Yeah, obviously a unique time for you to start the role at TLC. Obviously, I think the industry is very much face-to-face and conferences and things like that. So obviously difficult to get a basket of business going via remote avenues. So I'm sure you're excited to get back out there.
Absolutely, yeah. We've had some success just in the past year and a half. We've been up and running with myself as the sales and marketing manager, but looking to leaps and bounds grow that in the next couple of months here and going forward. So
Yeah. Well, it's great having you on the podcast. Hopefully
you,
we'll
sir.
have you on in some sort of semi-regular capacity.
Absolutely, love to.
Maybe start giving some people some good news here at some point soon.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
We'll link up TLC's website and your email address down below in the show notes wherever you're
Perfect.
streaming the podcast. And look forward to having you on again soon.
Thank you. Look forward to being here.
Thanks, Joe. Moving on, price updates and trends. I know we're kind of on the back half of July, so we're obviously digesting what happened in July and starting to look ahead at August. But what's the overall price mood for July here?
Supply and demand. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
If you have it, you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we continue to monitor raw materials.
No,
but-
of course there's raw material. There's so much. There's fundamentals, but yeah, it's supply and demand driven for sure, and it's tough.
Yeah, I know crude ticked up a little bit. There was a big drop in benzene for July, but that's starting to tick back up again, somewhere in the 40 to 50 cent per gallon range. So, be interesting to see what happens coming in August.
Yeah, I would say that a couple conversations that stick out in my head was, a supplier came to us and they raised the price, quite a bit more than maybe a competing supplier did. And when I went back to him, I gave him the information. I said, you might want to reconsider, but we need more.
Yeah.
That's a hard argument to make, and they pretty much went down everything we've already discussed and said, hey, listen, just talk about freight alone, just the cost of freight alone, that has tremendous, I mean, we have containers, we got 100 containers probably sitting in port right now,
Yep.
and they're just sitting there.
Yep.
And a lot of times we deliver to our customers, and some ports are $400-$500 a day. And if I'm giving a delivered price to my customer, I'm going to deliver it, and I'm going to suck up all that demurrage. And we're talking sometimes a month. Do the math on that. That's killing our margins. I mean, it's you could talk about moving up and down, but we're probably talking mostly about moving up at this point, I'd say.
I got a weekly. I usually get on the international. I get mostly weekly pricing, and it's been mainly driven for freight rates. Yeah, and it's mainly increases.
Yeah.
I haven't got a decrease in the last 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, you look at the pricing of raw materials to make this stuff, it's rising as well, but not to the level.
Not as fast.
No.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we already talked about hurricanes. They tend to hit in the Gulf, and that tends to be where all our refineries are.
Yep.
Obviously Germany was impacted with that, with the flooding. Their refineries are impacted. So not just freight, but even raw material wise, we're talking up. And if I was to guess, I'd say considerably up. We're at $70 a barrel on oil, and I think we had a bet in TCC where, what is it?
Oh, yeah, we had to dig that up. I forget.
Yes.
Is it December or the end of the year?
End of the
we
year.
had we had
End
a
of the
bet
year.
for all of the folks in TCC, mainly the sales folks, and I think everybody was in the 80 plus to 90 plus dollars per barrel by the end of the year. So, that'll tell you something. These are all people, some of them 40, 50 years in this industry, seeing the gyrations happen, and they're already saying that by the end of this year, because the vaccine is getting out there, people are getting out there, demand for services, demand for air travel, demand for cruise line, it's all starting to really ramp up. It's ramped up here in the United States and Europe, Israel, places that have, good access to it. It's going to continue.
There's an euphoria.
Euphoria, absolutely.
Euphoria. Sorry, I speak Spanish. Euphoria.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
Spanish word.
He even rolled the R on that. one.
Euphoria.
That's the Spanish
The
word?
Spanish word, euphoria.
Wow.
Yes, there is. I mean, people are just happy to be out there.
Yeah.
People are just at the conference. They just their first trip, second trip, mainly the first conference out there. People, including myself, I was just happy to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though it was 150 degrees.
It wasn't that bad. San
No?
Antonio. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. San Antonio.
Dry there, isn't it?
It was dry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so humid here.
But we Uber everywhere. Like, if it was 3 blocks, I'm Uber. I'm not sweating. I'm Uber.
Well, so we can move right into the trade show section. So you
Yes.
obviously had a fertilizer show this week
Yeah,
with AJ and Corey. And what was the
with,
mood?
with my colleagues AJ and Corey, and it was a pretty good conference. I was surprised how AJ is well known in the fertilizer industry.
Mr. Fertilizer.
Mr.
huh?
Fertilizer, yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. The Seed, Mr. Seed. Mr.
Obviously a regular and a big show for TCC. I know AJ
Yeah,
and Corey always go. Your first time
It's
there.
my first
but-
time, so I didn't know what to expect. We had a full lineup of meetings and of different types. It was really good. It was really good, with a lot of potential. So it's. And since I do some sourcing, was also good to hear what people need, what people are looking for, what it's tight, what are the happy people are struggling with. So
It was well attended, even
Well
compared to
attended.
not just based on COVID, just based on a normal year. It was
yes,
well
it
attended.
was very well attended. Yes.
I think you just said you guys had more meetings and dinners and stuff than ever before, which is
No, yeah,
crazy.
it was the busiest year for them. And they have been doing it for like 6-7 years.
Yeah. Which seems optimistic for the shows that we got coming up for the rest of the year. I think the first one we'll be exhibiting at is the Chemicals America show in Charleston. That's in September. I know there's 3 hotel room blocks for that show, and all 3 are already sold out. So
Wow.
I think that'll be the same, all on the same boat. It's going to be well attended. We'll have our very own Javier and Nicole exhibiting at the Elastomer show
Yes.
coming up in October. TCC's first time exhibiting at that, but that should be a good one. Keeping an eye on AFPM coming up this fall. We're going to have invites going out in the next couple weeks for our golf outing, our cocktail party, and then just setting up meetings with the TCC team. So I'm looking forward to
I've
it.
been talking to a lot of international contacts, and I say 50-50. Yeah,
Yeah?
Wow.
it's like yeah, I'm willing to go. Europeans, I'm willing, yes or no. I say 50-50. I'll be there for sure. So other people say it's too soon. 50-50.
It is kind of odd that it's in October, then again in March. So we're 6 months later, we're right back there. But we got a lot to catch up on. We really do.
for sure.
Yeah.
The EPCA, the Apple, obviously virtual for
Yes.
this year, but I'm sure you're ready to get back to those next year as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And it'll be down at the Plastics Compounders Conference in December. So full line of shows coming up for Q3, Q4, and I know I'm excited to get back to them as well. Should be good.
Yeah, that was an empty section before.
Yes, I'm glad to have things
The
here.
trade station.
It's filled right up. Filled right up.
Yeah. We sort of skipped over our product update, but obviously I know 2 things that we're continuing to talk about are our supply chain with various plasticizers, whether it's domestic sources, import sources. We're doing everything we can to keep our customers supplied, whether it's totes and drums or bulk, something we're focusing on, as well as the phthalic anhydride that Javi's managing. Two good ones to talk about these days.
Yeah, phthalic anhydride goes to the resin production, UPR production, goes to paints and coatings. That's my favorite word, according to Mr. AJ.
Paints and coatings.
Paints and coatings. So yeah, we have in stock 600 kilo bags. Send me a smoke signal, WhatsApp message, email. I have it. I have
This guy's
pricing.
on fire today.
I'm just excited.
I'm gonna start sending like handwritten letters, like, "Dear supplier, I need X price."
Yeah, I'll call you in less than 2 minutes.
That's right. Yeah, plasticizers remain really tight. You know, the alcohols, the acids are, you know, having troubles, and the esters themselves are not too available. You know, you look at all the things we talked about. It's too expensive to ship from Asia. It's less product available coming out of Europe because of the C4 production and things like that. Force majeures, shutdowns.
And also, I have to keep in mind that if we can help you reformulate, we have a strong technical team.
Absolutely.
I'm not a technical guy, of course, but we have a strong technical team that if you need to switch, we can help you with that. We can give you the recipe or a starting recipe, and we can help you. We have a really good technical team, technical support. So there's another services that we offer here at TCC that makes us so unique.
Yeah, I think it's a great point because a lot of companies have eliminated so many layers, and a lot of the technical is gone. And somebody might come to us and say, "Oh, you know, I need cold flex and I can't get DOA. Oh, we got DINA. Will that work? Well, it'll work exactly the same, just about, you know." So, you know, something as simple as that.
You have to twitch this, twitch that, but the people who know.
Yeah, and we've got those people.
We got those people.
Been around forever and can help you reformulate because, you know, something might be available where others aren't. And so that's a great point, Hav.
Yeah. And we have a chemist on site.
We do.
We do.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think wrapping things up, I mean, the overall, I think, advice or trends that we're seeing is really just, you know, security of supply, ensuring your supply coming into the fall. Pricing is continuing to go up, so it's a good time to bring in material. Keeping an eye on hurricane season, so certainly not a bad thing to have raw materials on the floor these days. And
yeah, and I think it's an opportune time to thank our customers, to thank our producing partners, to thank our logistics partners all across the board. It's been a very stressful year and a half, and on so many levels, people have come through for us. And so thank you to everyone who's supported us through all this. It's not over yet, but, you know, at some point you have to stop and thank folks. And I also want to recognize the sales team, the customer service folks, and the logistics folks here at TCC. Unbelievable stress, and they have been working their butts off and doing such a phenomenal job. And, you know, you have to deliver, as Javi was indicating earlier, the bad news. When it comes on time, deliver it and let everyone know, which we do. We're doing our best to see what we can do to get the product to you. And we are getting product there. I mean, we're delivering it. And but thanks to everybody for all your hard work and for all the loyalties out there that we've got. Javi said, so many friends throughout the world, and we're blessed to have that. Looking forward to seeing you all soon.
yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you listening. Obviously, we'll catch you on the next episode. We'll keep an eye out for those trade and tariff episodes, a 4-part mini-series here coming up in the next month or two. But looking forward to next month's episode, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Benny.
Thank you, Ben.